Hang on, that's my bad. Okay. Oh, and Abby's trying to get in. Come on, admit Abby. Why won't you admit Abby? Is Abby not there anymore? Okay, I'm trying to admit Abby, but it's not letting me admit Abby. So, number 3, it is. Did I not do? Did we do imperishable? Oh, not one bit of it will fall away. Not one bit of it will fall away. I can't get her to come. Yeah, it is imperishable. It is infallible. Jesus said in John 17, "Your word is truth." And then number 4, it is inerrant, meaning it is without error. And number 5, it is historically reliable. He spoke of the Old Testament stories as being true. And then number 6, it is scientifically accurate. Right? It is scientifically accurate. Then number 7, it is or has
ultimate
supremacy. It is supreme. It is the supreme authority in our lives. Jesus fulfilled the scriptures, he lived them, and he taught them. Question number 2. What did Jesus mean when he said he came to fulfill the scriptures? What does that mean, that he came to fulfill the scriptures?
He was going to fulfill the prophecies and bring them life through him.
Okay, so he fulfilled prophecies that were written hundreds of years before he was born, which means that he perfected them. He completed those prophecies. So it says, someday there will be one who will come to sit on David's throne. He completed that. He fulfilled that and perfected. Yes. So, I don't know. Did you guys know I did chapel this morning? Obviously not. The looks on your faces are like, chapel. Yeah, Mabel, Katie, and I did chapel this morning. It was actually aimed at the little kids. Yeah, so it's only about 10 minutes long if you want to go watch it on Facebook. But I talked about how the Bible is this, and I've told you guys this before. I talked about the Jesus Storybook Bible, which I'll read to you next year. It's this continuous story of the Bible, that this was God's plan from the beginning. He knew that Adam and Eve would sin, and so he had a plan even before the creation of the world. And so the Old Testament is this looking forward to Messiah. It's a neon sign blinking Jesus, that he's what the whole story is about. And so when he says he came to fulfill the scriptures, it is those prophecies that point to Jesus, and he fulfills every single one of them. Number 3, how do we know Jesus wasn't accommodating error in what he taught about in the Bible? In other words, how do we know that he wasn't in error and the Old Testament isn't in error?
He didn't tolerate error, and he would rebuke and correct the Jews several times, and he didn't back down from anything. So
right, absolutely, he didn't tolerate error. When people were wrong, he had no problem telling them that, right? Whether it was turning over tables or saying you are in error, or Nicodemus. Do you remember Nicodemus? You're the teacher of Israel and you don't understand this? I mean, he had no problem with that. He didn't tolerate any sort of error. And then Jesus knew what was true and what was not, because he's God. All of it comes back to this, what we've proved, that Jesus Christ is God. And he's proven that for us. So he would know, right? If there was error, he knows what error is. And then number 4, what additional evidence supports the Old Testament? Other than within the Old Testament and what Christ and who he is tells us, what else?
Well, kind of like we've mentioned before, if you want to make up a lie, you don't include embarrassing details. But the Old Testament is full of stories that don't paint Israelites in the best light.
Absolutely. You stiff-necked people, and Moses just had enough of them. And God saying, I'm just going to start over because y'all are nasty. I'm just going to kill all y'all and start over. I mean, you don't tell that story. If you're trying to convince people that your way is right, you don't tell that story unless it's true. What else?
Strong manuscript support the Old Testament as well.
Yeah, we have strong manuscript support that the story is true. What else?
Confirmation by archaeology.
Archaeological support, absolutely. In the New Testament, especially in Acts, there are hundreds of details that have been proven to be true. Names of people, the way certain winds would blow around, I think it's around Crete, the weather conditions, just so many things that geographical things that prove it. And the Old Testament as well has been proven to be true. In fact, I was taught in college that the walls of Jericho fell long before Joshua ever came. Long before the Israelites arrived, the walls were already down. And so they just made up this story that they made the walls fall down. It turns out they were digging in the wrong place. And I was on an airplane years ago, and about 10 years after I graduated from college, and opened up this magazine, and it said that they'd found a different place that was more likely Jericho. And this city, the walls fell in an instant at about the time Joshua arrived. About the time, exactly the time, right? Archaeology, again, proves that the stories of the Bible are true. And then finally, kind of what we've said before, Jesus rose from the dead, and he predicted that he would do so. He's God. He would know whether they're true or not. And so Jesus himself is further proof, further evidence that supports the veracity, the truthfulness of the Old Testament. Now, do you have any questions for me? Okay, I told you I would give you a little peek into your future. And so we're just now starting chapter 14. When we end chapter 14, you're going to have a test. It's a 50-point test. It's not a huge test, and you'll have a study guide. And we'll also play the Keiser quiz. Now, the Keiser quiz on Zoom is a little different. The 10th graders have played the Keiser quiz. But it's the same thing. It's I call on the first person that speaks up, or I'm not sure. I had them do a thumbs up or a raise your hand sort of thing to be the first person. And the first one I saw won. You're not going to stand up really. But we don't have teams. It's every person for themselves. And you know what, Daniel's clapping. And you know what happens when you're the only winner? You get way better candy. So you get to pick what candy you want, and you'll get a much bigger. Ask Davis Broyer or Kate Severson. You get a lot bigger candy when that happens. So we'll play the Keiser quiz for funsies, and then you'll take that test. That test will be on Monday, a week from Monday. I think that's the 27th of April. And then we'll go through chapter 15 pretty quickly. and you won't have a quiz over that. And then we'll end the year doing, because that's the end, chapter 15 is the end of this book. There's an appendix. We'll read Appendix 1, and then we'll read from Keller again. And we're going to talk about and answer the question, if God is good and if God is loving, why is there suffering? Why is there evil? And so we'll end the year with that, and you'll write an essay over that. So we're getting close to the end. I don't know what your final is going to look like yet. I'm still tossing that one around in my head. But yeah, we'll figure something out. Okay. So that's yeah, and you'll need to get Keller's book. Some of you probably have Keller's book in your locker, but if you don't have Keller's book, then we'll figure out a way for you to come pick it up, and please be sure to return it, because we'll have juniors next year as well. A lot of juniors next year. Okay, any questions? Okay. Well, I certainly miss every one of you, and yeah, wish we could all be in the same room, but we will someday. And don't hesitate to text, call, email me if you have questions or concerns, or you just need to talk to somebody. I'm here. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. I love you guys. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
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 Um,
Bye.